a brief introduction, and then they will
This meeting is being recorded.
And then they will be introducing themselves. So Steve began his career in construction industry in 1990, working in the residential home building sector in Ottawa. And in 1994, he joined LIUNA 527. And currently he works there as an administrator and oversees all training programs facilitated at LIUNA 527 Training Center, and recruits new members who are actively seeking employment, and recruits new workers to begin career in the construction industry. Our second panelist is Jessie Saslove. She is born in Ottawa, and she has spent all her life in Ottawa and has been in interior design and renovation industry since 2011. And she has her own business that she started at the peak of pandemic, where she offers interior design and renovation services. So I will first we'll talk to Steve D Nardo, and we'll have some questions about him. We'll have some questions for him, and he will be telling us more about LIUNA 527 and how do they help newcomers in starting a career in the industry.
So am I able to share my screen? No, there
Yes.
Can everyone see my screen okay? And everyone can hear me okay, I hope?
Yes.
So this is the presentation that, so before I begin, my name is Steve D Nardo. I'm the administrator of LIUNA Local 527 Training and Education Center here in the Ottawa area. Again, I've been in the position for over 26 years. And again, I oversee all the training, whether it be upgrading of skills, apprenticeship, new training, whatever comes up. We basically do whatever we can to benefit new and present members in order to upgrade their skills or be retrained in specific sectors so that we're able to put them out to work. So this is the presentation that I provide to high school students. So I usually go out to high schools, meet with guidance counselors, sit down with them, and we actually have a quick presentation where I sit down with grade 9 and grade 10 students and ask them what career path do they want to choose and why do they want to choose it. So, usually the list starts where, individuals say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a nurse, a plumber, a teacher, police officer. Like there's all different aspects of what exactly they want to do or what their plans are at that age. Because usually in grade 9, you're at about 14 or 15 years old. So at that point, many have already made their decision and others are still thinking about it. But again, we come up with a brief list like this. And then asking them, why do you want to become a police officer? Why do you want to become a doctor? Well, my mom's a doctor, my dad's a lawyer. I've always wanted to carry a firearm, things of that nature. So I usually ask the question, if you're going to be a doctor, where will you work? And a lot of them sit and say, well, the hospital or the clinic. And I talk to the teacher, where are you going to work? Well, I'll work at the school. And there's sort of, a puzzled look on their face. But if that class or that group of individuals is the next group of workers, then there's a small problem, because when you look at that list that's there, again, depending on what the list is, but in this circumstance here, there's no construction workers. Right. So, that hospital is not going to be built. Those schools will not be built. Those roads will not be built, and those bridges will not be built in order to get to those schools and those buildings and so on. So again, something to think about. And we basically ask them to consider a construction trade or starting their career in construction. So in our circumstance, our apprenticeship is called the construction craft worker. So if I say carpenter, plumber, electrician, it's simple, it's easy, you know exactly who that is and what they do. In our circumstance, we're called the construction craft worker, and I'm going to tell you exactly what we do. So the CCW is a trade in Canada's largest growing industry, which is the construction industry. Construction is booming. It has been. Again, I started at Local 527 in 1997, and we have been skyrocketing ever since. From 1,500 members where we were in 1997, we're over 6,000 now. So for a population of 1 million and in a government town, that's pretty good construction-wise. What does the construction craft worker do? So like I said, when I say plumber, you know exactly what a plumber will do, or if an electrician, you know, they work with electrical. Construction craft worker, a little different. We work in several different sectors. So as an example, in the civil sector, road building. So we build pretty much all of the roads, whether it be concrete roads or asphalt. In this circumstance, this is the Highway 417 project where they did a concrete paving pilot when you're traveling towards the Montreal border or the Quebec border. This was completed several years ago, and again, it is the concrete paving program. But in this circumstance here, it was all members of LIUNA that were employed on this project. So usually we work side by side with other trades, whether it be the operators union or the carpenters union, or whomever that trade would fall under. In this circumstance here, all the work was being done by members of LIUNA, which is basically all of the pouring of the cement, the operating of the equipment, and so on. If I continue on, the installation of water sewer pipe in the city of Ottawa. Not only the installation of the water and sewer pipe, but the manufacturing of that water and sewer pipe, interlocking stone, any concrete manufacturing that may be done in the city of Ottawa are done by members of LIUNA. So again, it's not limited to just outdoor work. There's also indoor work, and again, in the manufacturing and not only in the installation. I'm sure if you walk outside and take a look, you'll see one of these. There's several standing in the city. I believe there's about 80 of them standing in the city of Ottawa right now as we speak. Now, again, we don't operate this piece of equipment that you see in front of us, but on the left-hand side, you will see a block and chain. That's where our members actually tell this piece of equipment what to do. So in the cab on top, you'll have one of the members of the operators union, and then our members actually do all of the hookups in order to get all the equipment and all the materials across the site. So as an example, you have one of our members who's going to hook up a form at this point. They do all the hookups, they make sure it's done safely and correctly, and then they'll tell that operator that's at the top of the tower crane exactly where to go with that piece of equipment. So in this circumstance, it would go to the carpenters. So we do work side by side in this sector. So this is the high-rise building sector, the ICI sector. It goes to the carpenters. The carpenters will actually put that form into place. Once that form is put into place, we basically do the rest. We brace it, we pour the concrete, consolidate the concrete, strip the forms, clean the forms, and then once it's completed, move it up to the next floor for the next phase. And there's just to give you an example how a building will go from rough when it starts in the concrete sector and how the high-rise building would work its way up. In the civil sector, again, so not only road building, but this is sidewalk and curb. In this circumstance here, this is a sidewalk and curb contractor. So you see one of our members that's working between the truck and the equipment. You'll also see one of our members on top of the equipment operating this piece of equipment. And then, of course, in the back, there are several other workers that are taking out any deficiencies, making sure that that curb is put into place. Again, it's not limited to 3 individuals working in this sector. There are several workers that are working specific to this for this employer as an example. So usually anywhere between 30 and 40 employees working in this sector, because there's also hand crews and things of that nature. Rapid bridge replacement. So again, you've heard of a few of these that are happening in the city of Ottawa. There are several that are happening in the next little bit also. I think the last one was just the Rochester Bridge or the Bronson Bridge that just was replaced a few months ago. So again, we do work side by side with the contractor to make sure that this bridge is put into place properly. But any work that's being completed specifically with bridge building or bridge rehabilitation are all done by members of LIUNA. So all of the carpenters in this sector are specific to members of ours. So we don't work side by side with any other trades. The only bridge that I can point out is this one right here, where we had to work side by side with the steel workers or the iron workers in order to do those arches. So you actually see those arches that are going up and over the bridge itself. Everything else was done by members of LIUNA, all the embutments, all the steel, any work that was done below the grade of or underwater, including all the concrete, the asphalt, and so on. So again, this is the only one. This is just to give you an idea of what that bridge looks like. And this is the bridge that connects Barrhaven with Riverside South. So what's Ottawa's largest project? I usually ask that question. Right now, the light rail is the largest project as we speak. So not limited to just the light rail, but also the maintenance of Via Rail. So as an example, any rail that runs through the province of Ontario, all of our members will actually jump on that rail, do all of the maintenance, whether it's replacing ties or replacing rail itself. They go to a specific area wherever that's completed, and then once completed, they work their way back to their home area, and they just continue working to do that maintenance. So it's not limited to just the light rail, but here's again an example of the tunnel that was done in phase 1 of the light rail. We had over 500 of our members working in this tunnel, and again, 500 working above grade. So there was about 1,000 members just working in that sector, on that project itself. Right now, we have phase 2 that's happening. So, and you're hearing about it every day on the news that things aren't working or whatever on phase 1 with the electrical side of things. But with phase 2, again, we have approximately anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 members working on those 2 projects, the east-west and the airport expansion for the light rail itself. So what else do we cover? We also cover demolition and restoration, mason tending. So we don't actually do mason work. We work side by side with the masons. So we'll prepare all the projects for them. We'll get the bricks ready, the blocks ready. We'll mix their mortar, erect the scaffold, dismantle the scaffold, but we do not lay any stone or bricks or blocks. Do all the cutting, things of that nature, but no installation whatsoever. Asbestos abatement, which is very, we've made some considerable headway in this sector. There is quite a bit of work in the sector because, of course, all these buildings in the downtown core are quite old. So there is quite a bit of work in that sector. Natural gas, whether it be mainline, where we're actually feeding into a new community, or distribution where that mainline, we're tapping into the mainline and feeding into some new homes that are being built. Utilities, hydro and bell. So again, going back to my original comment from before, we do not do any of the electrical. So in the utility sector with hydro or bell, we do the excavations, we drop all the conduit, we pull all the wire, but then it's up to the electricians to do the other work. So we do work side by side with electricians also. And then of course, tunnels and the underground. So why do we do it? And usually you'll always ask that question. Why do you want to become a police officer? Why do you want to become a doctor? The number one answer is all about money, right? Everybody wants to make a good salary, a good wage, and they want to, start their career. In our circumstance, yes, that is true. You will make a pretty decent wage as a member of LIUNA, but also it's everlasting results. Being able to drive by a project or being able to drive by a completed building or road or bridge and say, I worked there. And here's a good example. I actually found this on Facebook and I had to use it because it actually works really well, because this happens quite a bit. And I'll be honest, it happens to me specifically where I'm driving by specific projects, and now my wife and my kids will stop and say, okay, we know you work there, that's fine. So it's just one of those things. But just to give you an idea of how that is. And again, one of our taglines at LIUNA is "I built that," right? So again, being able to drive by something and know that you were part of the team that actually completed that project. So who are we? I keep using that term LIUNA. Again, just so everyone understands, LIUNA is the Laborers International Union of North America. We have over 800,000 members across North America, not only in the construction sector and other sectors also. 240,000 members across Canada, 160,000 members across Ontario, and we're 6,000 plus members just in the Ottawa area and growing. So that number has grown considerably. What are the benefits of becoming a LIUNA member? So apprenticeship training is one, of course. You start your apprenticeship, you work through it like every other apprenticeship, and then once completed, you're a certified worker, and we're able to provide you with employment during your apprenticeship and after. Hiring hall dispatching, you never have to look for work. We look for work for you. Your name is on it's called an out of work list. If you're not working, your name is on that list. When an employer calls looking for workers, we're able to dispatch you to that employer. We deal with several employers in the city of Ottawa. I would have to say, I'm going to guess anywhere between 400 and 500 employers in our territorial jurisdiction in the city of Ottawa. Medical and dental benefits, legal benefits. So again, any prescription drugs, glasses, things of that nature, we cover those some of those costs. Legal benefits, buy a house, sell a house, wills, mortgages, things of that nature. We cover portions of those costs also. pension, which is pretty interesting because a lot of people don't talk about pensions. Usually when I'm dealing with high school students, they're not even thinking about a pension. But again, we're one of the top 5 pensions in Canada right now. I think we're valued at about $9 billion, one of the largest for the building trades as a multi-employer pension plan. Lifelong training. And once you've completed your apprenticeship, you continue training. You're not done. We always continue to train. And then if you're working, as an example, in the civil sector or in the road sector, and there's no work in that sector, we're able to provide you with training so that you're able to go into the high-rise sector, into the demolition sector, into another sector. We always want to keep the members employed as much as possible. And then, of course, I throw in the scholarships for members' children. So if you are a member and you've been a member for enough time, and your child ends up going to college, university, they're able to apply for one of our scholarships. So we're able to help them out. I believe it's $3,000 for college per year, and then $2,000 for $3,000 for university, $2,000 for college. So what do you need to start your career as a construction craft worker? So again, the minimum is grade 10 or equivalent. And I do know a lot of individuals don't have that equivalency or don't have their high school education, depending on the circumstances, how they came to Canada or whatever the case may be. But again, there are those options of either getting the equivalency if they do have the proof. And if they don't have the proof at that point, they can go and write a GED or an equivalency through the Ministry of Education or through an adult high school, which will get them to where they need to be so we can start their apprenticeship. Becoming a LIUNA member, of course, participating in the training, which is really important because we will make you that much more employable by participating in the training. And the most important part is have the will to work and continue working. Again, this is not a job. Once you've signed on with LIUNA, you started your career in construction, and it's basically going to work every day in order to move forward in your career. The last slide that I do have is one of our pre-apprenticeship programs, and this is something that we've been running now. In 2022 was our 5th year. We partnered with the Ottawa Carleton District School Board, so they provide academic upgrading for individuals that don't meet the grade 10 requirement. It is 10 weeks of training. We provide all the tools and equipment for everyone that attends this training. Now, again, we did put a submission in for 2023. We have not yet been approved for that. Fingers crossed, but I'm sure we'll get this one also for 2023. This year, we actually provided a $50 per week travel expense for individuals that require bus fare or anything to that nature. They could use it for lunch, whatever the case may be. And then directly after that 10 weeks, we provide an 8-week work placement. So again, just so everyone has an idea of what we're doing in order to try to recruit. So if you don't fall into the apprenticeship category, maybe pre-apprenticeship is the way to go. And that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else for my presentation, but I will unshare my screen. And then this way, if there's any questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve. We'll go to the attendees' question at the end.
Okay.
Also, we have to move to our next panelist also. So I just have one quick question for you before we move to Jessie. So a lot of our clients are newcomers, and as of now, they don't have the education or they don't have the certification needed in Canada to work. So at this point, how can LIUNA help them?
Are we talking education to get into the apprenticeship, or are we talking about certifications to get to work?
To get into the work.
To get to work. So once someone becomes a member of LIUNA, we provide them with all of the health and safety training that they require to get on job sites.
Okay.
Okay. So if there's three mandatory programs that are needed to enter a project: WMIS, working at heights, and mandatory awareness. Those 3 are offered. We pretty much offer them on a daily basis or a weekly basis, excuse me. And then whatever else they want to take on top of that, we offer training on a daily basis. So if they're looking to use a forklift or a telescopic forklift or a skid steer or anything to that nature, that's also available.
Thank you so much. We will share you the contact details at the end so that our attendees can reach out to your organization. Thank you so much, Steve.
Perfect.
I will have the questions for Jessie now. Thank you so much, Jessie. So my very first question for you is, tell us more about your company and your motivation to start it.
Okay. So my company is a full service interior design business. As of right now, it is a one woman show. So I am basically the boss, I am the designer, I take care of all the activities involved. So I offer renovation, design for renovations, not only renovation, sometimes it's a newer home somewhere that could have nothing. Basically, you're building from scratch, or it could be an older home that you're either changing a bunch of things or you are doing an addition, for example. So the majority of the design work that I do and renovations are kitchens and bathrooms. That just happens to be the case because most people tend to need the most functionality in those spots, and they tend to be a really good investment for your home. So if they're going to sell, or even if they're not going to sell for a long time, it's an area where, say, for example, in a kitchen, you just don't have the ability to have more than one cook at a time, or have somebody cleaning and then somebody cooking and you're banging into each other. So a lot of the time you need to have a really good layout. And yeah, so I am with my clients from day one, visiting their home, taking measurements, and then all the way throughout the process, doing the project management, providing drawings, 3D renderings, and managing the installers. So yeah, but it could be other rooms in the home too. So your living room, we've done home offices, bedrooms, dining room, really anything.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jessie. And the very next question is that being in this business, what challenges do you face the most?
Okay, so well, there's different things. Being a new business owner, I had already had experience in the industry, you know, being a designer, but being a business owner, honestly, it's very hard to be fully prepared. You can listen to a lot of different experiences and stories from other people, but one of the main things is, you know, not losing faith that your business is going to actually grow, or you're going to get your first client. So just learning how to market yourself, and really not giving up hope that you're going to succeed. A lot of the time in the beginning, I was always comparing myself to other designers, and I mean, the reality is they had been doing this for many years with their business, so I was very new. And another challenge that was very hard in the beginning was, once I was getting clients, a lot of them did not have contractors or installers that they were working with. So I wanted to help them find those people that were required, but finding somebody who was trustworthy, professional, and, you know, who was going to be providing the level of quality that I wanted, and who had availability, especially during the heat of the pandemic, was very hard. So again, not giving up hope, spreading word of what you're doing and talking to people. It's a nonstop communication with, yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for answering that. Another thing that I want to ask you is that do you plan on growing your business, or what your long-term goal is, and how do you see yourself in the next few years?
Okay, so yes, I absolutely love what I do. I could not imagine myself going back to working for somebody again. It's just, ever since I've been on my own, I've grown exponentially creatively. Somebody who is very artistic and has a passion for what they're doing for their career. It's as if, like, once you're on your own, you no longer have a boss telling you that there's a certain limit, because I used to struggle with having a manager or a boss tell me, like, oh, your idea is a little bit out there, you know, we've never done that. So I want to keep growing my business to be able to take on more and more projects. So eventually, I am going to need to hire other designers. At this moment, it's really about narrowing down my niche. So finding the right clients that are going to align with my way of working, because it's a lot about energy. If you're working with your clients for sometimes a year or more, so you have to really have a good relationship. You have to be on the same page, and just the overall aesthetic. I'm not stuck to just one style. However, there are certain decor design styles that just are not my forte. So finding the right clients that are going to support that demand builds my portfolio, and then will bring the correct clients to build my brand.
Thank you so much, Jessie, for your answer. Before we move to question and answers from our attendees, I would like to ask another question from you. That is that we have a lot of newcomers coming to Ottawa who are interested in interior design business, or they're particularly interested in starting some like painting, renovation, carpenting. So there are people with different interests. Some of them have experience back home, don't have the right credentials to start their career in Canada. So I would like to ask that what would you like to advise them? How can they begin their career?
So you're talking not just people who are doing trades, like also people who want to get into interior design?
Yes.
Like both. Okay.
Both
so,
of them.
Okay. So for somebody who wants to get in, to have an interior design business, be a designer, I honestly think that experience in the field is invaluable. There are designers who didn't go to school and they learned on the job. If you're able to go to college, take interior decorating, interior design, or just, there are a lot of courses online also. That is very helpful, but trying to get a job in the field to gain some experience is definitely, honestly, if I had not had the experience that I did working for different companies, where I was able to make mistakes and have somebody, guiding me, right now in this moment, my business would be extremely at a different stage. So yeah, you experience is everything. Now, if you want to get into the trades, so if you want to be, say, a carpenter, a painter, anything like this, a cabinet installer, again, you really need experience. It's not something that you wake up one day and you're going to know everything, because interior design and renovations, they're all extremely detailed work. So you don't know what you don't know. So that's why it's best to find a company that is willing to teach you, work as an assistant for a bit, reach out to companies, because a lot of them actually are interested in having assistants. If it's really necessary and you're not able to find somebody that's willing to pay, offer to work for free for a bit. Honestly, your future is what matters. The exact moment in time, obviously you need to be able to survive, maybe get a job that has nothing to do with what you're wanting to do for the moment. Do that, part-time or as much as you need to make an income. And then on the side, spend your time learning where you want to get to. Because I personally did work quite a few jobs that were not my ideal situation. When I graduated, I at one point was working at Home Depot, and the pay is not great at all, but the experience was absolutely totally worth it. I'm so happy that I did that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jessie. That was a great answer. I'll just summarize for everybody that Jessie's first advice is that when you start a career, or when you want to start a career or start a business, try to find somebody who is willing to hire you as an assistant, and Home Depot is a good place to begin also. So that's a great advice. I think people can learn a lot about materials available. And then we have LIUNA 527 to protect you and to help you starting a career. So we have amazing resources here and amazing experience by Steve and Jessie for everyone to learn. We have few questions. So I'll give it to Tatanisha. She will moderate the question and answer session for us. Please, Tatanisha.
Hi, thank you both Jessie and Steve for sharing those little gems, those gems of wisdom. It's really nice to kind of get your different perspectives on different entry points of the industry, the construction industry, the renovation industry, the design piece as well. So I'm really happy to see that there's already some questions coming in. If any of you have questions, I see some hand raises, I see some questions in the chat. Go ahead and enter the questions. I'm going to start with Fuad. Your hand's been raised for a little while, so I'm going to ask you to go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hi. Actually, I have two small questions for Jessie.
Okay.
Hi, Jessie. The first question, since when did you start your own business? And the second one, who's your client? From where you are having your client? How?
Okay. Okay, so thank you for your question. So I started my business at the beginning of the pandemic. What happened was I was working for a kitchen and bathroom renovation company as the in-house designer. And they temporarily let me go and said, you know, we'll call you back when things start to pick up again. But at that point, nobody was really coming into the showroom looking for work to be done on their homes because everybody was scared of the virus. So time was passing, and to be honest, I was not receiving any clients at first because nobody knew about me, and anybody that I did know that had, you know, maybe shown some interest, they said they wanted to wait a while before things settled down. So I did get a job temporarily that had nothing to do with my field, and just to make some income. And so I was searching for clients, honestly, from about April to August, but working, starting in July, I started working for a company, just making some income on the side. I got my first client through a friend, my best friend, actually. So she has always been very supportive, and she had a friend who was looking for kitchen renovation. So yeah, that's how it started. After that, I did have people reach out to me who were from the last places that I had worked, and they were interested to have me. I had already done renovations, you know, design projects for them at my last jobs, and they wanted more work from me. Aside from that, I have joined many different Facebook social groups. So one of them that is absolutely amazing is called Ladies Who Lunch on Facebook. But there's many different social groups. I am always sharing to my personal Facebook with friends and family. So I have different people that have reached out. There are companies online that you can pay small sums of money or however much you want, and you can get leads sent to you. I'll be honest, a lot of people are not serious, and they're just wanting free information and free quotes, so it ends up resulting in nothing. But in the start, I did take advantage of some of these different options. And yeah, it's you have to keep marketing yourself in every way possible. Use Instagram, use Facebook, and talk about your business. Don't be shy.
Thank you, Jessie. Thanks. Fuad, I hope that answers your question. And I think it really speaks to the importance of networking and like just sharing what you're doing with as many people as possible. Maybe you'll end up with leads, maybe you won't, but you know, the people in your circle can always refer people to you. And I'm really curious about that site that you mentioned, Jessie. If you could enter that in the chat, it might be a resource for people. Fuad, was there anything you wanted to add? I saw you go on mute for a moment there. No? Okay, so we have another question from Rehab in the chat. She said she has a question for Jessie. How long does preparing to hear, I guess the question would be, how long did it take to prepare to start your business? And Rehab, if you want to unmute yourself, you can help clarify your question. No? Rehab? Feel free to clarify. If I'm understanding your question, I think Jessie might have already touched on that in terms of the process to prepare to launch her business. And so I think what you mentioned was in the pandemic, you had, you had some experience, you're in the industry, and that kind of really helped with your preparation.
So, well, I mean, sorry, if I was waiting for them to speak, but yeah. So I mean, my thing was I always wanted to start my own business. I had dreamed about this for a long time, but to be honest, it's like the pandemic pushed me off the cliff because I didn't know where to start. Like when I went to college, I had, some business courses, but really it was about creating a logo, creating a vision. But this was not really, it can never prepare you for, like, I do all the marketing, I do all the administration, all the billing, all of the accounting. I am constantly, spending time on the phone, emailing. It's a huge, huge balancing act. You need to be, if you're wanting a job where you're just going to be sitting back and watching others do the work, well, obviously that doesn't happen with any business owner until, I don't know, I guess it's possible, but at the start, 100%, that's never going to happen. It is, I don't see that ever happening for myself. I love to be a part of everything, but if you are not avidly trying to improve your business, then like you have to be very, very involved all the time. It's not something that I just spend, a few days a week thinking about how I can improve the processes. It's constant. It's getting feedback from your clients. It's talking to anybody. Like I had different, business owners in my family. My grandfather actually was an immigrant to Canada, and his family started businesses. My grandfather was actually a butcher. So he had a meat market in the, I never met him, but I had other business owners in my family, and it's like every business is different, but what everybody will tell you is you need to keep learning, you need to keep trying, you need to not give up on yourself. And also at the same time, don't expect people to give you the answers. You're going to go through people who will be jealous of you. You're going to go through people who are going to believe that you're not going to make it. You have to believe in yourself and try your best to surround yourself with people who do believe in you. And at least nowadays we have a whole online world. So if you join social groups online, people who are not your direct competition, they typically are more supportive. Look for them, find your people. It's necessary.
That's a great point that you brought up. Thank you for sharing that. And Rehab just mentioned in the chat there were some issues with her mic, so that's probably why. Steve, I think this might also be an opportunity for you to, if you can, share about what kind of networking opportunities are available for the people who are in LIUNA. Is it LIUNA? LIUNA, and how do they continue their growth once they get started and everything?
So once an individual becomes a member, they can start employment with several contractors, depending on what sector they want to get into. From there, it's basically spills over into not only the different sectors, but now, you know, where they want to become more, let's say, more experienced in. So as an example, if it's not just general labor's work, they'll end up, you know, starting to do forming, starting to do pouring concrete, finishing concrete, demolition, restoration. So there's different aspects of the work that's involved. And then from there, there's also that aspect of, well, you know, maybe you don't want to stay a member of LIUNA. Maybe you want to become an electrician. Maybe you want to become a plumber. Maybe you want to move into a different aspect of the trade. And that's fine also, because we have individuals that jump back and forth, whether they start with us and end up in another trade, or they start at another trade and end up with us. So again, it's, you know, the opportunities are endless when it comes to the construction industry. So
that sounds like continuous support. I like the piece that you mentioned around people can kind of jump from here to here, but always know that LIUNA is there to, you know, offer a fresh perspective and different connections to the industry, so that they're not alone. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
For sure.
Looks like we have another person in the chat. Let's see. Victoria. Their question to Jessie is, do you work with specific kitchen and bathroom suppliers, or your customers finding the suppliers themselves based on your designs? How does that work?
Thank you for that question. So my main goal and basically target market is people who do not have time and don't, like, most of them are busy professionals, or they have a family they're raising, or they're retired and they don't want to, they just want to relax. So that is all left up to me. I collaborate with, you know, the client. It's not just myself who is saying, oh, you have to have this, you know, Toto toilet. Toto is a brand of toilet. But I do work with, I try my best to advise my client according to their budget, according to aesthetics, according to function, what is best going to work for their space. And I almost always offer, you know, a few options. I do have access to better pricing than, say, somebody who's just walking into a store, because the companies want to support my business. They want to, you know, offer better pricing. So yeah, no, I don't. There are some clients who will say, you know, this is exactly what I want you to incorporate this. But the majority of clients do not. They may say to me, oh, you know, I would like this product specifically, and then I educate them on the fact of why that product I actually don't recommend. Having done this for so long, I have enough experience to know a lot of the time the benefits of some, the negatives, etc.
So your client base, as you described, is often busy people who don't have the time to do the heavy lifting of finding suppliers and doing the comparison of quality and price. So I think that's a part of your service that you're bringing in. But it's interesting to know that, you know, there are contractor discounts, there's designer discounts at a lot of these stores and vendors. So it's good that you can also add that as additional value. Victoria, I hope that answers your question. If you have some more pieces to your question, feel free to add that to the chat.
Yes, I have a question. Do you hear me?
Go ahead.
So you get a supplier price, right? So for example, for the kitchen, do you add up markup, like your markup to the price to the customer, or their price goes directly to the customer, like from the supplier to the customer, or through you add up the markup? How do you do this?
Okay, so good question. So it's very specific to the supplier, to the product. You know, I run a business, so I cannot be not making money. So depending where I can, you know, give some discounts to the client, I do. But I can't, if I was to say, you know, sell everything at exactly the same price that I am paying it for, my design fees would be higher than what they are. because otherwise I won't be able to survive in this business. So it's a balancing act. It's finding an overall cost that works for the client, and also having a sustainable business. There are designers, who don't actually pass on any discounts to their clients, and maybe their design fees are actually lower, and then vice versa. And there's a whole mixture, but the suppliers, the percentages and everything, that is something that is kept as typically private confidential information between the supplier and myself.
Mhm.
But the clients are going to see the list price, and then I say, okay, well, you received 5, 10, 15, 20% off of this. A lot of clients, to be honest, they're not concerned about that. They're happy with the fact that I am saving them all the stress and time of buying the wrong products, and then, or buying something of low quality, and then 1 year down the line actually losing money because they have to buy all new again. So there's a lot of benefits that I bring to the table by working with me. Another thing is I do 3D drawings, so people are going to see pretty much what they're going to get before the installation happens. So if there is something that they're like, no, I don't like that, then we can make edits to the design. So yeah, there's all the
Thank you
project
for that.
management included. There's everything, benefit wise.
Thank you for that. We have 2 more questions in the chat. I'm going to combine them for the sake of time. And feel free to weigh in if you know the answer to this, Steve. The first part is, this particular person in the chat says they heard that interior design is a regulated job in Ontario. And if it's, is this true? If not, such projects really need a license. So can you speak to that?
Myself? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, you said Steve, so that's why I was, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I thought Steve can maybe weigh in regarding like the regulated part,
Okay.
and if any of the kind of positions in LIUNA or any jobs in the industry also have a similar challenge.
Okay,
yes, go ahead, Jessica, and then we'll move to Steve.
Okay, so yes, I went to college and I studied first pre-design. I was given a whole mixture of graphic design, interior design. I got a certificate in that. Then I took a year in interior design, and then I actually graduated with a diploma in interior decorating. I did not graduate with an interior design degree. I thought that I was going to concentrate more on decoration. However, ever since my first job of graduating in 2013, I have always worked before opening my business in kitchen and bathroom design. So my experience became much more than just interior decoration. Mind you, in the interior decoration program, you do learn about, I did a restaurant design, office design. It's not just decorating. If you graduate with an interior design degree, you are still not able to be registered in Ontario until you write an exam. I don't know the exact cost of it, but it's quite a few $1,000s. It's called the NCIDQ exam. So it's a national exam, and this is to, I believe it's national, I'm pretty sure. And this is to be able to legally call yourself an interior designer. I have never written this exam. I believe you don't need, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't believe you need to have a degree in order to write that exam. However, when you work in the field, you do learn most of what you need to know. And if you don't know what you need to know, there are books that you can find the right information. If I, for example, need to take down a wall, if a client wants a wall to be taken down, I get an engineer involved and all the paperwork is done to be able to have that signed off on. So we, submit paperwork to the city to get a permit, and that is all taken care of. So I align myself with the right people to be able to have the job taken care of.
Okay, thank you for mentioning that. I think for a lot of newcomers, that's the hard part to navigate, is the legal nuance of who should I speak to, what kind of licenses do I need when I'm talking to the city. Steve, if you can mention anything that kind of popped up for you in this question, that'd be great.
So in our circumstance, we do have designations. So as an example, when I was mentioning the type of work that we do, that's specific work to our organization in those specific sectors. So as an example, you couldn't have a member of LIUNA doing carpenter's work in a specific sector, in the ICI sector, if you're building a building. So again, there are some rules in regards to that also. This is not for I'm not talking about the non-union sector, I'm talking about the regulated sector under the Ontario Labour Relations Act. So as an example, you could have someone working, with Jessie that will, be a cabinet maker, install tiles, he'll paint, they'll do whatever they can. In our sector, if you're painting, you're painting. If you're forming, you're forming, and so on. So it's there are designations. So absolutely.
Okay, so it's something you interact with as well. And the last question that's related to is there any association for interior designers? This is for Jessie.
Okay, so yes, there are different associations. There is one specific for interior designers. There's one for interior decorators. There's one for kitchen and bathroom design. People do pay membership sometimes to these associations. A lot of people like myself do not, because there are fees associated. I mean, it depends what you want. Like for example, next week, I'm going to an amazing event called the Interior Design Show in Toronto. This is open to the public, but there are trade days. So it's open Thursday through Sunday, but only to the public on Saturday and Sunday. There are seminars and talks happening, but on Thursday and Friday, I am not part of any association, but this is some of the best people, not just from Canada, interior designers, architects, that are part of these seminars. And I registered my business and I am able to attend these seminars. So that's a really good learning opportunity. And when people are part of these associations, they have some of their own learning opportunities. So it really just depends how you want to invest your money. You only, unless you have the sky the limit of your finances, then you have to be choosy of what. I know some of these associations, they'll have a list of, the registered members, so that sometimes people join because that can bring them more clients. Since 2021 in the spring, I have been consistently very busy because of my marketing efforts. So I'm not struggling to find clients at this moment. It doesn't mean I'm not taking on new projects, but I'm not at a point that I feel like that's what I want to do, being part of one of these associations, but it is an option. Yeah. Okay.
I thank both of you for answering these questions. We're out of time, so I just want to ask, would either both of you be comfortable if people reach out to you if they have more questions? I know, Jessie, you put your information in the chat. For you, Steve, are you able to put your information in the chat as well?
Yeah, I can do that right now.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm passing it back to you, Samai, for the closing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tatanisha, for conducting the question and answer session. And thank you so much, Jessie and Steve, for your valuable time. We are so thankful to you to be here today with us, and out of your busy schedules, you have taken out time to help the newcomers community. We really value your participation. Also, I would like to say thank you to my team that we have here today: Sarah, Tatanisha, Grace, Daniel, and Kais. Thank you so much for helping with everything. Thank you so much to our attendees for attending this session. I hope this was a good learning point, and you can reach out to our panelists who are super helpful people who are here to help all of us today. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to them. This is a place of opportunities. We have people like Jessie who are in this career and they are helping people. There are people like Steve who are representing and helping people in starting their career. Whether you are a newcomer or whether you have been in Ottawa, you are protected, you have opportunities. So please take advantage of all these great people and build a great career and also help the immigrant community. Thank you so much, everyone. We will be closing now. And moreover, you can note the contact details of our panelists if you have any further questions, or you can forward your questions to us also. You can forward it to me, and I will be able to get the answers from our panelists and get back to you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Have a good day, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Thank you so much, Soumya. It was a great event. Thanks for planning it.